So as I was talking about the previous video, the post-fight review between the Fabio Wardley versus David Adelaide fight, I said I think that Fabio might be the most accomplished UK like British heavyweight contender in the heavyweight division. So I think he's got the most best resume in my opinion. Because if you look at his resume, I think he's fought the best opponents and he's managed to beat them all. He beat Richard Latte, who was an opponent that fought Daniel Dubois. He beat Nick Webb. He beat Nathan Gorman, and now he's beaten David Adelaide. So in my opinion, I think he's got the best resume. And the thing that's impressive to me is the fact that he doesn't really come from a background of boxing. So this is a guy that's only had, he's not even had any amateur fights. He's only had 4 white collar bouts. And for him to have so little experience and still compete at the highest stage and manage to win against these other fighters who have much more experience. For example, David Adelaide, I think he had an extensive amateur background compared to Fabio Wardley, who literally had no amateur fights. I think David Adelaide, I'm not saying he'd had the biggest amateur record. He didn't have hundreds of amateur fights, but he had like 30 to 40 maybe, around 50. It was in the double digits of amateur fights that he's had. And even then, even if it wasn't that many amateur bouts, is way more than what Fabio Wardley have, who's only had 4 white collar bouts. So in my opinion, I think Fabio Wardley, for the limited amount of experience that he's got, he's managed to perform at a very high level, and he's managed to actually put himself in a position where if he beats Fraser Clark in his next fight, then he might be one UK British contender that's got the best resume in the UK in terms of the heavyweight division. For someone who's had so little experience, obviously he's managed by Dillian Whyte, and Dillian Whyte is giving him the right fights at the right time. For him to have so little experience and for him to do as well as he's doing in boxing is quite incredible. I mean, I've not seen someone with so little experience do so well, and it's ironic. That night had something in the air about it because Francis Ngannou, he's never had a boxing fight, yet look how well he did against Tyson Fury. So I don't know what it is, but like it seems like a lack of experience. Generally speaking, if you've got that athleticism, it can negate that experience gap when you're going up against opposition that has much more experience. But I don't think it's just that. Some people just pick it up quicker. And I think Fabio Wardley's that. He didn't have an extensive amateur background, yet he's managed to pick up boxing quite well, and he's competed on a relatively high level for someone of his limited experience. He's managed to win more times than not. In fact, he's won every fight. And in his last fight against David Adelaide, I think he looked a bit, I don't know if it's just me, but he looks like he developed a bit of a jab. He's got more of a boxing skill, ability, and I think it's impressive. So, yeah, I think Fabio's, if he could beat Fraser Clark, and it looked like he was game to fight Fraser Clark next, I mean, it's quite an impressive thing that he's done last weekend when he fought on the Tyson Fury versus Ngannou undercard. So yeah, I'm hoping to see where his career goes. A lot of people just saw him as a slugger, and he is that to some extent. When he gets hurt, he does just resort to type, which is just to fight and be a bulldog and just pummel his way out of a difficult situation. But I think in his last fight against David, he showed some boxing ability, a good jab. He took the center of the ring, and he managed to stop him. So, in my opinion, I mean, I think he's one to watch. For such little experience, he's done really well. I mean, I think eventually there might be a ceiling on it, where he might not be able to compete against the best of the best, like the Usyks of the world, because of his lack of experience. But then again, last weekend we saw Francis Ngannou, who never had a professional boxing fight, who never had an amateur boxing fight, almost beat Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, who's in his words, the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, who's undefeated and has won a multitude of titles. So I think the heavyweight division, to some extent, obviously you need experience to some extent, but experience can be negated by strength and athleticism and power. So yeah, that's just my opinion. Tell me what you think below. How far do you think Fabio can go? Or do you think he may have reached his ceiling? Maybe Fraser Clark beats him in his next fight. Tell me what you think below, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace.